The Grin in the Woods. In the quiet town of Cresthill, a legend spread about a clown that appeared near the edge of the woods during twilight. No one knew where he came from, but stories claimed he lured people into the trees and was never seen again, only the faint sound of distant laughter lingered. Emma and her 3 friends didn't believe in town myths. On a dare one Friday night, they drove to the outskirts of Cresthill and parked near the woods. The air was cool, and the shadows of the trees seemed to sway unnaturally. Emma shivered, feeling watched, but her friends laughed it off and started calling into the trees. "Hey, clown! Come and get us," one of them yelled. The forest responded with silence, until they heard a distant, slow chuckle. It was faint at first, but grew louder, closer. From the trees, a figure stepped out into the pale light of the car headlights. A clown, thin and impossibly tall, with clothes that seemed stitched together from scraps of old fabric. His face was a mask of grotesque joy, white paint cracked around a wide, red smile. In his hand, he dragged a long, black balloon, scraping the dirt. No one moved. Then the clown pointed at them with one gloved finger and tilted his head. Slowly, he turned and began walking back into the woods, his laughter echoing like it was coming from all directions. "Let's go." Now, Emma whispered, but her friends had already begun to follow. "It's just a guy in a costume," one said, laughing nervously. "He's trying to freak us out." The clown disappeared deeper into the woods, and with every step they took to follow, the air felt heavier, colder. They reached an old, abandoned fairground hidden in the forest. Rusted carnival rides stood still under the moonlight, and tattered tents flapped in the wind. "Where did he go?" Emma whispered. From one of the tents came the sound of a carousel starting up, music distorted and dragging like a broken record. Then, one by one, the lights around the carousel flickered on. The clown stood in the center, holding his black balloon, watching them. He tilted his head again and began to smile wider. The carousel turned faster, and the laughter returned, louder and layered, as if a crowd of invisible voices were joining in. Suddenly, one of Emma's friends screamed. They turned to see him being dragged backward into the shadows, his hands clawing at the ground. Before they could react, another friend was pulled away by unseen hands, her cries muffled. Emma turned to run, but the clown was already in front of her. His face was inches from hers now, his smile so wide it looked inhuman. He held out the black balloon. "Do you want to play?" he whispered, his voice low and sing-song. Emma screamed, but no one heard her. The next morning, her car was found abandoned by the woods, its doors open and the headlights still on. Cresthill grew quieter after that. No one dared approach the forest anymore. But sometimes, just before dusk, locals could hear the faint sound of carousel music drifting on the wind.